This meeting we're only going to be having a couple updates about the various events that we'll be having over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll swap over to our nice guests that we have today. We'll learn more about them later. Um, so we have been fundraising with chocolate sales over the course of the semester. We're still doing that. This is not to say that we've stopped. We still sell chocolate in this room, but also for anybody interested, we will be doing another special chocolate sale in the library quad next week on Monday and Wednesday. So if anybody wants to actually show support for ACM rather than just give us money, then you can show your face there and make it look like we're popular or something. NSA questions. Forgot about this. So we still have the NSA representative coming, or not an NSA representative, the liaison between CSU, Sac State, and the NSA. And I think he works for the NSA too. And we're still taking questions for him because he wants the questions that we're going to be asking him ahead of time so he can prepare his responses, because confidential information and whatnot. So if anybody wants to send us questions, we did not put an email up. Thanks, Ryan. If you have any questions for them, feel free to come by and talk to us. We'll write them down. Yeah. So any questions, just talk to us apparently. Debugging competition. So we have a slew of events actually happening at the end of April. This is the one of 3 that we'll be talking about. So we have the debugging competition. Again, we're bringing it back from last semester because it was such a great hit before. Short description of the event is people go to the event in teams of 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. 1 to 3, and you have a list of short program code snippets that have some issue. There's a description of the problem, and you have to try and solve the problem, submit your solution to it, and get as many solved in the time. There will be prizes for the best placed teams, as well as there is going to be a snack provided. Told you to get rid of the S. Wasn't done, but okay. Can you go back? All the information from it is going to be there. Question? Thanks, Ryan. It's on Friday, April 14th. Yeah. No, there's somebody else with a question. Go back. You had a question. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then we're good to go forward. Kryptonite and the ICPC. So these 2 are happening a bit later than that. That's going to be April 21st and April 28th, the Friday after the debugging competition, the Friday after the Friday after. We do not know what specific rooms are going to be we're going to be in for these events, but we do know what time they are and what day they are. The rooms we'll be figuring out as soon as possible. For anybody who doesn't know what these 2 events are, Kryptonite is an event where we have professional and academic speakers come in and talk about various security-related things. We've had talks about cryptocurrencies, talks about what your operating system might do to spy on you, and some more in-depth talks that I have no idea what they were talking about. And then the ICPC is a programming competition, similar to the debugging competition, but different in every way. Who here has not participated in the ICPC before? I recommend all of you participate. It's a little, not a little, it's a pretty big event. We have it every semester. This is the off semester, so it's the unofficial programming contest. The fall programming contest lets the top 5 teams go to the regional event. So this was more of a practice competition than a heavily official one. But what happens is you go in a team of 3, and you're placed into either the lower division or the upper division bracket, and you are given 7 to 8 programming problems that you need to solve. Everybody has the same problems, and over the course of about 4 hours, you solve as many of those as you can. Questions? Yes. Languages allowed are. Well, you're not given problems in a specific language. You write the solution. You're given like a prompt, and then you write. No, there are specific allowed languages. So you can write in. Is Isaac here? No. Okay. See? No. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. Python, C, C++, and Java. So there's your answer. We don't know about C, but C++, Java, Python for sure. Possibly C#, but maybe not. Likely not. I don't think they'll try to get that one in yet. I'm pretty confident about C, honestly. So I think C's in. Other questions about the ICPC? Yes, John? Definitely C. C is a thing. Okay, C is a thing. Any other questions about the ICPC? More information about that will come through as we get closer. It's sort of like a month away right now, so not as knowledgeable about the information there. For people who don't want to participate but still want to experience the event, we are looking for volunteers because it takes a bit of effort to run the event because there's a so every time a team solves a problem, balloons are run out to them so that everybody can see like who's solved what for a period of time, and that takes people, and that'd be very helpful if you want to help us out with that. Next thing. Machine shop tour. Okay, so this is sort of a last minute thing. The manufacturing club has sort of sent out a thing to all the various clubs saying, if anybody wants to come and tour the machine shop in the Santa Clara Hall, they're doing a tour today at 4:30, and it ends at 7. And if anybody wants to, learn about the machines in the Santa Clara Hall, then you can go to that over here. Santa Clara 1329. I don't know much about it. They were like, yeah, totally thing. Yeah. I would love to put them up. We should actually probably send out a thing with these slides at some point. After the meeting. Okay. We're going to send out a thing with the slides. Link with a link to the slides so everybody can see them. Also, we put up a video of the meeting every week so that people who don't go to our meetings can actually see them. That's why we record. Any other questions about that? No? Okay. Yeah, because it's sort of like dangerous and stuff. You need to do the thing. We don't have the forms. I do believe that the manufacturing people do, so they'll hand you the form to fill out and say that you promise to not die. Other than that, I believe that's our last thing that we have to update you on. So welcome to Intel. I know. Welcome to two interns from Intel who, you don't count, Jason. Who have decided to come and bequeath onto us information.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason. I'm the professional development officer for ADM. I've been with ADM I am usually never here on Wednesday because I'm at work, but I decided got approved from manager to bring people Wednesday. I've been with Intel for about a year. I started last summer. They actually shipped me to Arizona against my will. And I worked for the public infrastructure team over there. Since then, I've migrated from chief developer to from Arizona to Folsom, and where I met some of these guys. Actually, I think I knew you beforehand in 138.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're here to talk about that. A lot of people going, or a lot of you are probably going in here for internships. Or have been doing interviews, getting ready for the summer. So they're here today to talk about in general the interview process, different experiences they've had with different big companies like Intel and Microsoft, and just general career building advice. And then we'll do some question and answer at the end. So I'm going to stop talking and let them do something.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Josh Gill, and I'm an intern, of course, at Intel currently. And we'll be talking about how to do interviews. If you guys haven't had an internship, how many raise your hand? How many of you guys have internships currently? Cool. How many have had internships? Okay. Okay, cool. How many of you don't have any internship but want to have an internship? Okay, cool. So this is actually geared towards you guys. So that's good. Just stay focused, ask questions. We're here for questions. There's going to be a huge time slot towards the end for questions.
Yeah.
But this is my buddy here.
Yeah. Well, we could do the introductions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could actually move one slide ahead. Perfect. So again, my background. Again, my name is Josh Gill. I currently work in Intel as a systems programmer in InfoSec, which is information security. And some of the companies I've done interviews with, of course, are like Google, Amazon, Apple, and of course Intel, since I currently work there. And so there's, of course, you guys can ask me questions about like Google or Amazon or other companies that I have interviewed with, because I have gotten offers from them. So it looks like I did something right. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Now about Matthew here.
Yeah.
Next slide. Cool.
Hey, so my name is Matthew Roy. I currently work in the data center. I can't give job title or any of that because of NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So I work in the data center. Basically, these are the organizations that I've gone through the hiring process for: Microsoft, Amazon, Sacramento State, Intel. There's a few others, but these are just the highlights. And just like Jazz, I got an offer for all of them. So if you have any questions on how to nail a resume, nail an interview, and all that that it takes, just go ahead and ask at the end.
Yeah.
So
So this isn't just about Intel. It's about any of these other
yeah,
companies.
it's about technical development
Yeah.
as a student, as a going into the field
Yeah.
in general.
Perfect. So tackling interviews. So interviews can seem very daunting at first. So if you haven't done an interview, they're pretty daunting. So we're gonna start on how to actually get an interview. So that's the first step. Before you can do an interview, you need to get one. So before you get an interview, you're gonna be making your resume. You want to make your resume like perfect, spot on perfect, where that's the only thing that recruiters are looking for. They're looking at your resume. They don't know your personality. They don't know anything about you. All they can see is a piece of paper in front of them, and then that's when they decide are they gonna go forward with it. So I have a little saying here is most times the magic is within the resume that will get you the actual interview, and then your knowledge and personality will actually get you the position that you applied for. So the very first key thing I would say is focus on your resume. Go to resume workshops if you need to. Get feedback from other people, your friends, colleagues, other students, because the more eyes that see the resume, it's only gonna get better. Some of my quick and dirty resume tips would be, since you guys are in, of course, school, want to have school projects listed there instead of rather than I've seen a lot of people just list classes that they've taken. That doesn't help recruiters or anything. It's just a list, and they can see that you're taking up a lot of room or wasting a lot of room on your paper. So you don't want to do that. You want to list projects, outside projects, if you know have hobbies within computer science or have developed something outside of school
Yeah,
work.
and on a note on that one, the outside of school stuff is key, and they will ask you about that in interview and everything. So, for example, one thing that they really liked about Jazz was he had robotics, and that was outside of school, outside of his extracurriculars. He had robotics, and they really liked that. So that's how he got into the interview. So it's really the resume is super important. That's your foot in the door, essentially.
Yeah. And Matthew here, he has a lot of GitHub stuff. So if you go check out his repository, you'll see a lot of stuff there. So I mean, you can have like other external sources like GitHub information there, so that they can go in, and if they're interested, they can go in and look at your stuff that you guys have done. It just adds to your credibility, because this is where you want to add to your credibility to get that initial interview. Another thing here is work experience. If you have work experience, what I always tell people is it's best if you don't have work experience related to or somewhere related to your field. So if it's like, say, McDonald's or something, sometimes it's best not to put that in there if you have other things that will cover up for it. But if you learned some key things at working at McDonald's, put it there, because the next right here, data. So within like say McDonald's, right? It's not known as a technology company, or since you guys are doing computer science, it's not known in that field. But if you guys say you guys improved sales by X, you guys did this to make the process faster, somewhere along the service line or anything. That stuff, add that in there, add that in the description, because that shows your initiative. They want to see that you're willing to seek out, make things faster, make things better for the company. And so at that point, yeah, put McDonald's in there. But if you don't, if it's just normal work, just pays the bill kind of thing, don't put it in there. There's a lot of other stuff you can add to your resume.
And quantitative over qualitative. What that means is don't put fluff, put actual numbers and stuff. For example, there was a project that I worked on where I improved automation of a workflow. And instead of saying, oh, I improved automation of workflow, I said, oh, I increased development time by 8 hours for these 3 engineers spanning different teams. So you have to be very specific and very quantitative. And that's what they look for. Because if you go into your if you submit your resume and they see those numbers, they'll be like, wow, this guy really is taking the initiative to not only do the work, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So
And another thing is people like to. So I saved, like, say for my last project, I saved 8 hours of work time each time that process workflow goes through. So now time is money. So they can actually calculate how much money I save the company using my automation. So it's just that kind of stuff really stands out to them, and it'll get their attention definitely.
One thing we forgot to mention too is we've actually both been a part of the hiring process. So not only have we been hired as student interns, but we have participated in hiring other student interns and been on the decision for that. So we actually do know the back end for what goes on and how your resumes are evaluated, how your interviews evaluated, and all that. So
Yeah.
we've been a part of that process.
I've actually done recruiting here at Sac State. We did a recruiting event with Intel, and so I was part of that, as well as also international with other countries, hiring recent college graduates all the way up to senior level engineers in other countries as well for other Intel sites. So I've definitely been a part of that as well. So I do know what goes on in the back end. So definitely these are some things I look for when I'm recruiting. So I'm pretty sure other people look for that too.
And I'll give you guys a personal anecdote, just as because, like I said, we've been a part of it. There was this one time a person came in with a resume, best resume we had ever seen. They had like X amount of projects that just looked really good. Their work experience was awesome. So we go down to one that we thought was really awesome. They developed a game, and they were like, lead developer for game X. And so we said, when he came into the interview, we're like, so tell us about this game. His answer was, well, I just did the technical documentation for that. Instantly, right then and there, interview was over. Like, he's not getting the job. You got to put enough fluff, I would say, on your resume to where it's real. So you don't want to go over that line, and you don't want to go below that line. It's kind of a sweet spot.
Yeah.
So Jazz used the make sure your resume is perfect, and that's kind of how it is. You got to make sure your resume is perfect.
Yeah. You don't want to overshoot it. You don't want to undershoot it. You want to make it in that fine line somewhere where it's not lying or it's not underestimating what you've done.
Yeah.
I've got some, Amanda, I don't know if Mike knows yet, but I've got some just thoughts on this, just talking to different managers and other things. I actually asked Gabby going into this, like, first off, a lot of you guys just starting it, you may not have been computer scientists before going into computer science at university, right? Like, not everyone is a So, some of you are. Anyway, so, like, if you're in a freshman year or sophomore year for internship, and you don't have a lot of big outside projects that you've done outside of school, first off, now's a great time to start.
Yeah.
But second off, your school projects can be kind of a filler for that, provided they are like substantial or show something that's like beyond, hey, I just wrote Hello World on a screen. Like, for example, when I was at my the career fair that I got hired at Intel at, I was talking to the ST, and one of the things that their guy like got me an interview offer, which I didn't take, but I still got the offer, was that I had my app from 131.
131.
Yeah,
131.
I had my app from 131 on, so I was able to show my Android app, which I think it was like a demo app about what functionality that we expect from like a hackathon, right? It's not a real app, but it showed a basic login functionality, account settings, like swiping, all of that stuff, and that showed them, hey, I have experience in this field. I may not be a master of it, but I've done this. I can show you, like, I can demonstrate and explain these things I've done. And you only get that the benefit, that conversational benefit, at these kind of recruiting events or career fairs, which is kind of why I switched it over to online resume submission. You get the chance to show yourself off, which is another recommendation I'd make. Other than that, very, very, very important and dangerous game you mentioned with the fluff thing.
Yeah.
It's necessary. You have to play it because everyone else is doing it.
Mhm.
But with the quantitative stuff, you want it, but you cannot lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be someone in the interview process who will be able to sniff that out. For example, when I was at a conference over the summer in Arizona, I was talking to one of the employees who had made it from student developer to full time after graduation, meaning they survived the conference and interviews. And one of the things they mentioned is at the end of their internship, all the people on their team, all the different teams on their meta team, did presentations about what they did during their internship, what they learned, and like what they provided to the company. This one group of interns claimed to save on the magnitude of millions of dollars for the org. The moment they claimed that, a manager shot up a hand and like basically was like, explain yourself. They got lambasted. They may have done good work, but they did save millions. So rather than the fact that they had done work, the emphasis was that they hadn't done what they started. So it can literally shoot yourself in the foot just by going one step wrong. So it helps, but like don't
To eliminate.
Yeah. That's just like the story I said. They said lead developer, and then when they came to the interview, and it was different. It was different. I mean, like we're on the other side of that as the interviewer, and it's like, okay, you're not going to be even considered at that point. I mean, we
You
went
lose
on
your
for,
credibility.
we went on for 20 minutes to finish the interview and save face, but like the consideration is done at that point. So it's not. Sometimes a little thing here and there can just end your interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. Also, another thing here is professional certifications. There are certifications that I believe you can go out and get, and that just looks good on your resume. For example, if you want to go into networking, there's networking certifications given out by, for example, Cisco.
Mhm.
You can go out and get their certification, and then you now have it. So that just, if you put those certifications on your resume, it just looks a little bit better. Knows that they know that you're trying outside of school. You have training on this. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got that certification.
And on that note, yeah, it may look intimidating, because when we judge the room on who hasn't had an internship, it may look intimidating if you don't have work experience or project experience. But it's never too late to start. It literally takes 30 minutes a day, maybe for 3 weeks, to become a sysadmin cert. So I mean, it's not impossible. It just takes the time. And if you show that drive on your resume, that I'm a student, I'm involved in ACM, I'm involved in these many organizations, I have these certifications, I have these projects, instantly you're in. So I mean, it's your foot in the door.
And that's actually, I guess before we move on to the next section, quick time, but
Yeah.
quick thing, ACM membership, especially over a long, like, couple semesters, is something you can put on a resume for computer science because it shows you care about something beyond just your education, like your school and stuff like that. Also, we do ICPC, we do debugging contests, we just had a game jam. All of those things build personal projects or build like plays today, ICPC. Those are all resume points for you that you basically have to show up and try.
Yeah, and on that note too, when we said qualitative, you don't just put ACM on your resume because that's just a list line. What you want to put ACM competed in hackathon, ICPC.
Yeah. And maybe if you do well in those,
yeah,
won that competition,
Yeah.
won the ICP, won this.
Yeah, no, if
Yeah.
you place, yeah. Yeah,
So, but if you
competitive, so-
don't, still say I've done these events within ACM.
Yeah, so you kind of see the building blocks. You don't just put like ACM or don't list.
Okay, so
details.
now that you've gotten you've gone through that process, you've got an interview, right?
Yep.
So now the very first thing is usually with most companies is just a phone screening. Don't be too scared about phone screenings.
Yeah.
It's just a very basic. Do you meet the requirements of the job job description?
Yeah.
As well as they might throw in a couple of very basic technical questions, but it's not really meant to weed you out. It's just meant to make sure that you are you are qualified for the position at the very minimum, in order to boost you off into the actual technical interviews. So whenever you have a phone screening, don't be too scared.
Yeah.
You don't really need to study for this or anything. It's just gonna be general questions.
It's about 30 to 40 minutes long, and
Yeah.
honestly, it's so they know that you are the person that is applying for the position. It's kind of like I'm applying for a Python-based job, and then they ask me just a simple Python question, and
Yeah.
I don't know it. Oh, okay, you didn't pass the screening because you applied for a position that you don't know anything about.
Exactly.
So the phone screening is just basically to assume basic knowledge. Every company does it a little differently. My Microsoft one was about an hour. Amazon was about 3 hours, and Intel was about 4 hours.
Yeah.
So it could vary. It honestly, and with those phone screenings, they are a little intimidating. The 30-minute one's not so bad, and they'll tell you beforehand.
Yeah.
But the 4-hour Intel one, wow, I had all my notes laid out in front of me, and it was like I was sweating by the end of it. I was like, okay, whew, okay, glad that's over. So
Yeah. So typically you don't need to sweat them if they're 30 minutes, an hour long. But if they're anything larger than that, make sure you have notes out on your table while you're talking.
it's very position dependent.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one, the actual technical interviews. So the next couple of steps or whatever it is, you're gonna have several technical interviews most likely. These technical interviews are gonna be very technical, like the name says.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect.
Yep.
Like I said here. Before going into this technical interviews, you want to make sure you do problems from the internet, and just like those practice word problems. You want to know your data structures. You want to know your algorithms and all that. The very basics. You should know all of that. Because they're gonna ask you random questions. For example, my Google one, all I can say is one of my questions, I had to program a drone in that one. So it's not like you'll go out and know this already going into it. It's just on the spot. If you know the fundamentals, if you know how to combine the different fundamental aspects of the data structures, you can do it. But that's just on the spot.
Yeah, and we'll get more into this during the Q&A because we could spend forever talking about the different
Exactly.
But if you have a specific question about a company that you saw or one that you're curious about, we could help out with that.
Yeah.
One thing about the technical interviews is the second one.
Yes, second point.
Yeah, he put this on the PowerPoint because I was telling him a story the other day. It was me and about 3 other technical leads and interviewing this one person, and we would ask the question, but then they wouldn't. Their micro inequities, basically their body language, wasn't saying anything back. It was like they were just staring blank faced and they didn't know what was going on. So when we were interviewing, it was very hard to like see, okay, can I work with this person? He's not showing me any sort of body language.
Yeah.
So be engaging during your technical interview. Be engaging.
Yeah, definitely, because the interviewers are also people that like, yeah, they're actually interviewing you on 2 aspects, and one's your knowledge, your technical
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah.
Your second one's your personality, and that leads to, so before going into interview, practice, get ready during the interview. Be cooperative, be engaging, show how much you actually know the material. Because after the interview, the interviewers are gonna ask them one question: can I work with this individual 40 hours a week?
Yeah.
Can I work on projects with them? Can I not? Because if they can't, if they don't like your personality, if you're, like you said, blank face
Yeah.
every time, I wouldn't want to work with a person like that. So it's not always about the technical knowledge. You could be the smartest guy in the room, yet not get the position just because of your personality.
Beyond that, it's like, do I want to spend 40 hours a week of my life, presumably for years, with this person? It's
Yeah.
not even just the work. It's like I have to exist around this person.
Yeah. So it's
I have a quick comment.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like talk in the industry right now. I'm sure if you follow like free science internet conversations or Twitter or whatever about whether or not technical interviews, the way we do them, make sense or are fair. Because a lot of it, like at the end of the day, right, data structures and algorithms, all that stuff is essential to know. But you're not necessarily going to memorize every stored algorithm in the book. However, you're kind of expected to right now. So technical interviews are things that people, as they want to go to like top positions at Google or top positions at the big tech, Facebook, etc., you kind of have to study for these. Like,
Yeah.
it's no joke. You
Yeah.
might be, like, especially before, for your full-time internships, are a little easier. For your full-time, might have to consider taking some legit time off and spending a couple of weeks, if not a month or two, literally just hashing out these problems and getting
Yeah.
yourself in the mindset to treat this like an exam. And that's unfortunate. I personally strongly agree with the process. I think working interviews are a lot better, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
And the other thing, as I was saying, you may be presented with a problem that you're not, like most technical interviews, if they're good, you're not going to see something and be like, oh yeah, the solution is that from that class.
Yep.
And then write something down. Because like that's like a multiple choice test. They don't
Yeah.
care about that. What should happen is you see a problem, you may not know the solution, or you may not even be able to find the solution immediately, but you can work through the steps, explain what you're doing out loud, and talk through it with the interviewer and say, okay, I think I can solve with this, so I'll start this approach, blah, blah, blah. Communicate, because again, like the personality part is equally as part of it as the technical skill. So
Yeah.
show that you want to solve the problem, that you have the capability to, and get as far as you can into it. That goes a lot better than just saying, I don't know, or just spitting something out without saying a word and then turning it into
Adding to that, you don't need to know the answer to every question that they ask.
Yes.
What just work out the problem, not in your head, but out loud,
Yeah.
so that they understand where you're going with the problem, what you're thinking. Because sometimes they just want to know what you're thinking and they don't really care about the problem and how you answer it.
It's seeing how you solve problems.
Yeah.
Necessarily what
And that's
Yeah.
engineering at its core, right? It's, can you get a problem, break it down into smaller pieces, and solve those smaller problems. I mean, that's what engineering is, computer science, and
Yeah.
that's all they want to see. If you have that mind to where you can break something down, solve the smaller problems, because like they both mentioned, you won't know the answer. I remember, we'll do it in the Q&A, but
Yeah.
I remember during my Microsoft interview, the first question they ever asked me was, develop a tic-tac-toe game using object-oriented approach. And so it doesn't seem so hard, thinking now, but try to do that in 30 minutes on a whiteboard. It's it's a little intimidating. So you have to break it down into your classes and
Yeah.
objects and fields and all that. So there is steps to get through that. And again, during the Q&A, you guys can
Yeah.
ask about that.
So if you go to the next section, next slide, I believe it's questions. So this is the Q&A section. Is there any questions right off the bat that you guys would like to get answered? Yes. Oh, well, I'm currently a third year in college. I had Apple starting my freshman towards second semester freshman year, and then I worked there about 11 months, and now then I got Intel, and so I've been working there since then. It's about a year-ish at Intel. But yeah,
Yeah, same with him. Coming up on a year, we both started around the same time, about a week
Yeah.
apart. And how I got hired at Intel is I had a lot of background projects, like a lot. Like I was coding every weekend, doing what have you, and even if it was just something for fun, I would do it on my own. And then I also started at ECS, the web developer. So I was actually developing for the ECS website. If you guys ever seen that brand new website, the layout when it's changed, I was actually a part of that. I changed the layout, but that's kind of how I started.
So if you don't like the layout, it's his fault.
It's off my hands for like 2 years now. So
Other than that, I actually I got the position just because I had a ton of engineering / robotics
Yeah.
experience throughout college. I mentor robotics teams all over the area actually, and especially outside the area too. And so just because of my experience through that, I was programming. I was doing a lot of other things there, as well as some other projects, as well as my coursework and my Apple experience. So all of that combined got me mine. And they asked a lot of questions about that in my interviews.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
pick your resume apart, and not just
Yeah.
Intel, but across the organizations that we've been at, they will pick your resume apart.
hmm
Like if you have it on your resume, be ready to talk about
Yeah, in detail.
it. Any other
Mhm.
questions? Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I'll let
So
Jazz.
after you apply and the time you get the phone interview, um, probably a couple weeks to a month. I've had as an average.
Yeah, just to jump in on there, I'd say it kind of varies. There's a lot of technology
Yeah.
right now, and I disagree with this technology where it'll scan your
you're talking
resume and
about.
it'll read for keywords.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about the fluff, because it
Yeah.
sucks. It's just the nature of the beast, and we have to play the game that the corporations are
Yeah.
making us play. So if you have a killer resume, you might get a phone screen the next day. If
Yeah.
you have some resume that doesn't have all the keywords, you might get called in 2 weeks. You might get called in 6 months. For Microsoft, I applied in January and I got my phone screen in November. Then I got my offer in February. So that was almost a year-long process of just sitting around, just like, hey, what's going on? So it varies, and of course, positions opening and closing. So
Yeah. But again, if you do have like competing offers from a different company and you're going through the hiring process of one company, you could, if you tell the recruiter, she will speed it up or he will speed it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, you can play that
Um,
game.
yeah, I actually did play that game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so they'll make sure that you have either an offer or at least a decision made before you have to apply to other companies.
You could pressure the company, but don't do it too much. We're like, hey, forget this guy. I don't want to, don't-
Yeah.
be-
It has to be
be
to an
professional
extent.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't lie about that. If you actually do have a competing offer, say you have a competing offer.
Oh yeah.
If you don't say
yeah,
that.
the corporations do talk.
Yeah,
okay?
they
Don't,
do talk to
Don't
each
say,
other.
oh, I have an offer for this place and
Yeah.
this place and this place. Oh, got an offer from Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Can you guys hurry up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they know.
They know.
Yes.
So cover letters are a factor alongside resumes. What did you guys put to address?
So funny enough, every company that I've done,
Same.
I've never done a cover letter.
I don't do cover letters.
Never done a cover letter.
Honestly, that's just a personal choice for us. Like if a company requires a cover letter,
You give them one.
I don't apply. I don't even apply.
No.
However, if it's optional, I still apply. It's not cover letter is not always required, but if it is required, you want to address just the main stuff, like what the key points that you want to really emphasize from your resume, and stuff that's not in your resume, more like your personality, maybe some statistics in there, but don't go too much.
Any explanations of like things that have happened in your
Yeah.
life that might explain why your resume other parts are
Yeah.
lacking? Like if you had some trauma, or major family trauma that you had to overcome. You don't have to go into nitty gritty, but it would explain why you made your work with the project. Every company I've applied to in tech, they kind of wanted the one-page resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a single sheet of paper. They want basically direct to the point. I've been asked to even remove my how like some clubs and like organizations will ask you for like a statement or like a
Objective?
statement, an objective.
Yeah.
Objective.
I have never had an objective on mine. It's just like, well, my objective is to get a job. Like,
Yeah.
On that note, your resume should speak for itself.
Yeah.
That's why, like, in our resumes, we've omitted our addresses, we've
Yeah.
omitted objective, it's literally just like you're reading
Yeah.
someone's technical work for their life.
Like your RPG character.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a stat sheet. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not. Don't put any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as cover letters go, so there is a difference for that. So it depends if you're applying for a pool of applicants or if you're applying for a specific position. Because I know if you're applying for, I want to be software engineer for AWS, Amazon
Web services.
Web Services, then you might have to do a cover letter for that specific job. But if you're applying to a company as like in general as an intern, you don't really have to do that stuff. Resume speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Um,
It should be standalone.
yeah, in my experience, Intel didn't require a cover letter, Microsoft didn't, Amazon
Google didn't.
Sac State didn't. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's it's a good spread of companies, not all of them, but
Yeah. Definitely. I believe. I think that's all of the top four, the big four.
yeah, SpaceX and Tesla
Yeah.
require a cover letter.
They do. Yeah.
Didn't apply for those.
I will eventually.
yeah. But, any
once
other
I get once I get some time. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
How long before college have either of you been
How long before college? Probably about 4 years.
I started programming since I was 10. So I've been doing it for 11 years now, and personal projects, contract work.
Yeah.
I was a little later in the game. In high school, I started by doing Lewis scripting for this one online game. It was like, I think it was called Roblox. It was like a
Oh,
Have you heard of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a 3D Lego sandbox, but everything is organized like in an object-oriented hierarchy, such that a Lego brick is an object that can be part of a model. And the brick, for example, the real magic from it came that you can convert script objects into objects. So I could put a script that used Lua to add game functionality. Basically, using these simple little blocks, people made like aircraft, people made like whole GUIs within a game, people made game engines within the game.
Yeah.
And I actually got into that company, and this is part of my resume initially. Was I came out of graphic design early in high school. I was like a video game nerd, but I didn't really do much coding. I just play games rather than actually make them at the time. But I did a lot of graphic design stuff and just learned Photoshop on my own because I was interested in it. And I started doing textures for the 3D models, and then they like took that just like, hey, here's the textures you can add from like models you already made to like change the cover add like routines. They took that and I started doing official textures for the company, and then I became a moderator for the forum, and then I started doing like stuff for the holiday games. And it was just like me playing an online game at the time. I didn't really think I was doing anything productive. But it turned into a residential life.
Yeah. And on that note, find what you're passionate about in computer science. So for me, I started at 10 because I'm a hardcore video game nerd. Like I've pretty much played every video game ever, and I play it all the time. So when I was young, I was like, hey, I like to play these. Let me try to develop it. So that was my passion, and I used that passion to fuel my career. And that's what you guys should do. Like find your passion. Compilers, scripting, gaming, whatever it is. Find your passion and let that fuel your. Because then you'll just excel at the interview. You'll excel at the resume. You'll excel at all of them. It's just it comes easy. If you're passionate about it, it comes easy. Because like another example, another anecdote. We had another interview where this person had a lot of automation development, and when we would ask them about the automation development they did, they were like just so dry about it, and they seemed so disinterested. And it was just like, I mean, this is what you want to do. We can't really tell. So
exactly.
let your passions fuel your career.
Yeah, and interviewers will see that.
Yep.
As well.
If you're not excited about something, do your best to try it down.
Or that. Any other question?
About
yes.
15 minutes.
You can answer that one.
For like technical stack, or for Intel, or for general, or I can't say that. Sorry.
We can't say it. And for one part, it's disclosure stuff. The other part is it varies on where you're at.
Yeah, we could say that.
It's different for every group. For the most part,
it changes.
Yeah.
Technology is very. Oh, I'm developing in LAMP one day. Oh, now I'm in WAMP. Oh,
yeah.
Now I'm in something else.
And in terms of that, again, you learn as much as you guys can in classes. However, some of that stuff's not going to apply. You're not going to learn some of the real world industry stuff. For example, you guys will never touch. You guys working with servers. You guys are never going to touch load balancers in school. But in every big company, or almost any mid-sized to big company, uses global load balancers, local load balancers, and so you'll need to know how to manipulate those and work those.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
you'll learn more from personal projects and certificates than you ever
Exactly.
will in school. I'll tell you right now.
But school is important.
Yeah, no,
guys.
it's important. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Just- Yeah,
It's important,
I'll
but
just point that out there.
yeah, I think in the computer science program here, I think it's a little dated. There's no artificial intelligence at the lower division level. There's no, just various things.
No
There's,
JS.
yeah, no Angular JS,
It
no.
doesn't need to be
Yeah.
Angular.
And
It's some
JS,
kind of
yeah.
HTML, some kind of JS.
I mean, the program here is a little dated to where it's just Java, 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 and then when you go to your company, it's like
Any other questions?
yeah, it does.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yeah. Like you said, my GitHub is extensive, but 90% is not finished. In computer science, I mean, your project's never finished, right? Like you can always optimize. Yeah, you're never done. So
Technical debt.
as long as you have enough to go off of,
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, at the career fair, I showed off my completely broken ride sharing app, and it still looks good.
yeah, that's awesome. Like if we had a candidate come into a career fair with that on their phone, yeah, heck yeah, come in for an interview.
Yeah.
See what you got.
Cool. Anything else from you guys?
No one else will take.
So phone screening interviews, typically they're over the phone. However, some of them are like they send you a quiz. Like for example, a quick side note: Amazon, their phone screening was actually 2 quizzes. One was a debugging quiz. So if you guys want to do the debugging competition, that's good. Good help for that. But yeah, one was like it was like 7 questions. They give you code and you got to debug it within I think like 15 minutes to get. And it's some of it's basic debugging, understanding the code. It's written in the logic. So sometimes it's small errors, sometimes a little bit larger errors. But so you do this debugging little what do you call it event, and then after you do that, then you get sent like a cognitive exam, and that's you get 15 minutes again, and it's more of a it's more like an IQ test kind of thing, but that's their phone screening. So if you pass that, then you get to the technical interviews. For other companies over the phone, they ask like say very basic. Say if you know your resume says you know Java,
Yeah.
they'll say write a program or just work out the program in logic for X.
Yeah. So Amazon, they do the quiz. For Microsoft, it was this is actually my easiest phone screening. It was just a 30-minute. Here's a so it was like here's a string, right? And it was like race car, and it was like print that backwards, and then you have to show that because it's a palindrome, it's the same forwards and backwards. So you have to show in your code that it was backwards. So that's probably one of the easiest. So I mean, all you have to do is a for loop and just iterate through the array and print out the characters. So,
but they asked him to do it in 2 ways. One was actually write out and use. The other one was using a built-in system function.
Oh yeah. One was
Yeah.
so it's 2 questions. So the first 15 minutes, do this using no built-ins. So that means no built-in functions. I was doing it in C#. And then the next one was use built-in functions. So they're really simple. The Intel one was probably my hardest one. It was a 4-hour phone screening about web development, and it was really intimidating. And
so you'll get questions like this, or you can get very
for that one though, I will say this: you have to show kind of what you know from your resume, and also for the position you're applying for. I was applying for a web development position, so I had to know what web development was. So yeah.
Cool.
Did that answer your question though? Because I noticed your question was. Can you repeat your question? Oh, okay.
An example question.
No, they asked. It was a mixture of both. I mean, so 4 hours is pretty long. They one thing that I've done is for the engineering expo that Sac State has, I have it as a project. I built the sign-in application, so it had about 500 users, I think, for one weekend. So I was on my resume. I said built engineering expo application that was used by 500 end users. So they asked me to go through that and go through the process of from the request from the manager all the way to the development of the actual technology. So that went from high-level request
need
to low-level. What's the code look like? So it covers the whole array. And at that point, I mean, you just have to kind of know what you're doing. That's experience. That's experience. Yeah.
You're not probably gonna nail every single interview you ever have in your life. You should expect. I mean, I got lucky and I got my Intel offer like first time. I didn't even have to apply to any place that summer. That probably won't happen to most people, from what I've heard. So just like be ready, basically. And I've had some bad interviews too, but like be ready to go into an interview, bomb it, and be like, okay, what did I learn?
Yeah.
How am I not going to do that again?
Retrospective is
Yeah.
key.
And one thing I don't think we covered what we were talking about before we started to talk today earlier. The interview is not just a one-way exchange. It's not them just draining from you. Your goal is to figure out as much as you can about that company as possible. In
Yeah.
the interview. Because what they're putting on their corporate marketing brochures is not necessarily true all the time about how their work life is, what they actually are working on, a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Number one, asking questions to your interviewer about the job and work life and like what they do, it shows interest, their passion, and it like shows you're not there just to absorb basically try to get an offer. It shows that you actually like care about the company and you're curious and have input from that. On top of that, this is your chance to weed out red flags about the company. Like ask them what their work-life balance is like. Ask them, what is how is their overtime? Ask them what their weekends are like. If you care about those things.
Ask them if they enjoy what they do.
That's pretty important, right? I mean, if you're the kind of person who doesn't mind working 10 hours 7 days a week, then more power to you. But
Yeah.
most people, it's not really healthy and that doesn't really work out.
So if you're not Elon Musk, basically.
Yeah, if you're Elon Musk, go form your own damn company.
yeah. So
But,
Cool.
Yeah, make sure to really like figure out because like again, what they're gonna tell you is probably different than what they're gonna tell you behind closed doors.
and we have about 10 minutes here. Does anyone have any specific company questions, like about their technical interviews, Amazon, Microsoft, Intel? Any like specific questions about those companies?
When you have that for a phone interview, did they warn you ahead of time?
Oh yeah, no, I had 3-week prep. So
Yeah.
for those phone interviews, you'll have some time. For the 30-minute one, I had about
You
a
won't
week.
have
I had
time.
about a week. They were just like, hey, next
Yeah.
week we're gonna call you at this time. But for the Intel phone screening, it was 3 weeks of prep. So I definitely revisited all my GitHub stuff, revisited all the projects that I worked on, reviewed my resume.
Usually they tend to give you a little bit more time for the phone screening. Like they'll give you like 2-3 weeks for that usually, before they get to the initial phone screen. But anything after that, like the technical interviews, they will probably just give you a week or so for those, because you should technically already be prepared for those.
Just real quick, hardest interview you've ever had?
Google.
Microsoft.
I really haven't had one that I've considered.
Okay.
I can like you have to understand my work in computer science with Intel.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind then. Yes.
It was
Internship.
it's kind of mixed. So
Yeah.
it was for internship guaranteed full time.
Yeah.
So it was a little more than an internship. It wasn't just your generic summer. It was okay. This guy's gonna work for a year, graduate, and then he's gonna be full time.
There will be a significant jump between what they expect out of the intern and what they expect out of the full time.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
The process is like double black diamond. Like
Yeah, let me say the 4-hour screening won't happen for an internship. That's something that full time. That's kind of a full time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Was this beneficial? Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's good.
And if you guys have any questions going into the summer or through the semester, you can email the professional development email. It's on the INTIN website. I'll try to get back to you. And if you have any questions you want me to forward to them, email me and I will go bug them at his cubicle. As I already do.